Hi friends, I'm G, and I'm currently 25 years old, traveling Costa Rica, staying at a wonderful friend of mine's farm, and I just wanted to come on here and talk about, are you ready for the love of your life? Yeah! Now, I've been single for over a year now, and I won't lie to you, this internal dialogue, the inner teenager in me, loves to just like get whiplash, hoping that every beautiful person I encounter will be the next love of my goddamn life. But I recognize that it just doesn't work like that. You always find them when you're not looking. Yada, yada, yada. I get it, but still, where is he? I just know that I'm not ready because I personally want to fall in love with my purpose, my path, my career, what I love to do, because I recognize that no person can give me the level of love and fulfillment that pursuing my path could. Because infatuation and lust is nice and all, but it's endless. This necessity for more. It's never gonna satiate you fully. And I think that's a good thing, because when you're pursuing a path of loving what you do, that desire to achieve that feeling of fulfillment gets you to come back and do it over and over and over again. And you just don't get that when it comes to relationships. You get companionate love, but you don't get that heart-filling reverberation throughout your entire body that you've accomplished something. And I don't know if that's the Capricorn in me that's like, oh, achieve my goals, but it is, probably. I love that feeling, and I want to fall in love with it all over again. As early as I can remember, I've always daydreamt about love being the cure-all for all of life's ailments. You know, a reason for me to get up in the morning, the last thought I have at night. It's just because we've been fed this narrative through these books and these songs and these movies where you feel this feeling that love is everything. And it can be, and it is for some people, but it's incomplete. To try to find somebody outside of yourself to give you something that you are the only person in this world that can give to yourself, does that make sense? It's never gonna be enough. So for me, I always assumed that when I would find the love of my life as a teenager, these are teenage thoughts, I would never have to work a day in my life for happiness again. And I would feel safe, and I wouldn't have to figure out how to deal with my own sadness and trauma. Like, my sadness would be cured. It'd be like permanently, like, no more negative feelings. You're happy all the time. And I think that that's what everyone is fed, this assumption that that's how it works, but it doesn't. It really doesn't. Oh wow, I'm like peeling away. Happy full moon, babies. I feel like it's also like symbolic. I'm shedding, my skin is shedding. That's gross. Anyways, one of my best friends' sister, Kelly, hi Kelly, she described the world in the most beautiful way. She says that we are all kind of operating on a pendulum swing. Life operates on a pendulum. And when we swing in one direction, we always have to find a way back into balance, back into the other side. And so for every intense, passionate, emotional love that you experience, I've always had this mindset that it's always gonna find its low. There's always gonna be this kind of equilibrium that finds itself on the other side of that really high high. And for me, I'm so thankful that I was able to experience a love so reckless, so all-encompassing. We lasted 8 months, the first few months of which were like so exciting. It was like we were the sun that rose and fell for each other every single day. And it was so hard to feel negative feelings knowing that they existed and that they loved me and I loved them so unequivocally, equivocably. It was beautiful until the dopamine and the oxytocin started to stabilize, and we were no longer feeling those really heartfelt, emotional, deep feelings that we so easily could in the beginning. It started to become more commonplace and normal, and thus the triggers and the traumas came up. And it showed itself as insecurity and jealousy and rage, and I'm thankful because it showed us exactly what we needed to see, but at the same time, it was heartbreaking to experience that level of kind of abandonment and hurt on the other side of all that love. And as much as it was so beautiful in the beginning, near the middle / end, that love grew so impatient and quite unkind. I'm happy I had that experience, but now I know what I want and what I don't want, and that is infatuation and lust. I would rather wait a year to fall in love with my person than to allow those emotions to crash and burn so quickly from the get-go. Because I want to love that lasts, baby. I want to love that lasts. I believe that true love is calm, it's patient, it's trust, it's beautiful, it's companionate, it's having a best friend that you could do silly things with, you know what I'm trying to say. Have you ever been in love? Like truly, truly in love? The kind of love that you don't feel any fear that they'll judge you or abandon you or stop loving you. The kind of love that makes you feel like you're just dancing with your eyes closed. You know, trusting fully and surrendering into each moment and feeling so present with them that you just don't care. You don't care about the world. You don't fear anything, and you're just present with them. Now, have you truly been alone and loved it? Does that at all mimic this idea of love that you have in your head? Is that possible for you? Because it is. It's fully possible to fall in love with your life the way that you fall in love with another person. But we humans are such dreamers. It's very easy for us to establish this dream in our mind of what it should look like without actually acknowledging that you can experience it in the now. Mind you, there's so much that we have to pass through, so much privilege each of us as individuals experience. I feel so privileged in my life, but I worked for my happiness, genuinely. I worked hard to get to where I am in my life. And I'm thankful for all those moments I've expressed and experienced in my youth, because in my youth, I'm still in my youth. But because of those moments, it's a lot easier for me now. And I don't think that people give enough credit to how much work it takes to become present and joyful. It's kind of paradoxical, because it's like the more you work hard, the more you realize that you don't have to. The more that you're able to discipline yourself and get back into a state of balance and mindfulness, the more you recognize that it doesn't require much at all to be happy. It's in these present moments that you recognize that real, genuine happiness is just gratitude, being fully present in the moment. It's not allowing those negative emotional states overtake your body and your mind. It's allowing yourself to be disciplined, to look past that and to be fully present. And it's a lot easier for others than it is for most, because there are some people that are living with the disadvantage of mental illness, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, it does take work. It does take effort to be happy. It does take effort to understand that it doesn't take effort at all. Does that make sense? My gosh, it's complicated, but not at all, if that makes sense. All of life is paradoxical. It's all kind of negating each other. It's okay. We look for love in all the wrong places. Cereal, sex, porn, drugs. There's so much out there that we use as a coping mechanism to avoid our own joy. You gotta feel it to heal it. You gotta just feel your life, you know? And I think that being in love is a really quick cure-all for that, but it's not real. It's not gonna be the end-all be-all. There's work that comes along with it. Partnership is the most intense emotional endeavor you could ever experience in your life, because there are so many points where within a relationship they'll trigger you and poke and pry and kind of make you feel all the feelings that your parents once did in your past. For example, like, you know, for a regular hetero couple, you have one person who is kind of nagging the other person to clean their room or wash the dishes, and immediately the other partner in that mix is like, don't tell me what to do. You're not my mom, like, man. And immediately is met with all these triggers of feeling like they're being forced or controlled or put into a box and needing to do what the other person says, without actually being able to acknowledge the fact that that was a trigger that they felt through their mom, maybe. That their maybe possibly narcissistic mother was unable to hold space for them and force them to do things they didn't want to do, and invalidated their experience, and boom, now you have a person that is like the fucking son, the person that is the love of their life, but making them feel like their mom once did. I see a lot of couples who take things incredibly personally, and I don't, fault them for that, but I think it's important to approach every argument, every issue with full emotional accountability before you blame somebody else for the issue, before you actually present it to them in a way that it's like, hey, this is what I saw. Are you willing to work through this? It's important to kind of look at yourself first and be like, how is this impacting me? Is this something that I'm doing that's bringing up these emotions? Is this something from my past that needs careful consideration before I bring it and present it to this other person? I don't know, there's a lot to it. There's so much to it. Are you ready to do the work? Because it's not always going to be smooth sailing. The weather will vary greatly with the seasons, and an unsteady boat is sure to sink. Being in your 20s is a matter of making so many fucking mistakes that you inevitably grow. You fail and you fail over and over again, and you never give up, because eventually you'll come up on the other side finding your peace and your joy intrinsically, internally, without needing somebody else to do it for you. So I think you should fall in love with your friends, with rituals, fall in love with habits, with fucking delicious food, with cooking, with taking care of yourself. Fall in love with things that bring you joy. Fall in love with being alone, because there will always be moments where you'll find yourself in that space. And it's in that space that you can grow the most. Are you ready for the love of your life? If you tell me no, I won't believe you. Because you've already met them.